Bienvenidos a un programa más de Dr. Lizi. ¿Cómo nos está pintando este principio de año? Mientras se van conectando, pues voy a hablar de un tema que no le gusta a mucha gente, la verdad, pero esta cuesta de enero es difícil para mucha gente. Y también el año que empieza puede estar lleno de incertidumbres, de miedo, de cambios. Y nuestro maravilloso cerebro de 2,5 millones de años de evolución está increíblemente bien diseñado para eso, para sobrevivir, pero no está bien diseñado para enfrentar los cambios. Y eso es lo que nos roba es felicidad. Pero déjate lo que nos roba felicidad. Nos roba la vida. Y hoy tengo un invitado y yo soy, ¿qué les puedo decir? Su super fan, el Dr. Patrick Porter. Y para quien no conoce al Dr. Patrick Porter, bueno, primero los voy a saludar a todos y darles la bienvenida y que me cuenten cómo les está pintando el año, cómo se están sintiendo en este enero. Porque lo que ustedes van a escuchar el día de hoy, la entrevista va a ser en inglés, pero va a ser traducida, la pueden ver completa en mi canal de YouTube. Pero lo que van a escuchar el día de hoy va a ser muy importante, muy importante. O sea, va a ser algo que va a cambiar el resto de tu año. Así que ahora sí les voy a presentar a mi invitado del día de hoy, el Dr. Patrick Porter. Patrick Porter es un visionario en neurociencias y tecnología de bienestar. Es creador de Braintap. Lleva más de 30 años revolucionando la forma de entrenar nuestra mente. Es un súper conferencista. Bueno, yo lo he escuchado tantas veces iluminar a tanta gente en auditorios y ha ayudado a millones de personas a transformar sus vidas mediante técnicas de reprogramación mental y herramientas súper innovadoras que combinan ciencia y tecnología como Braintap, que yo soy su fan número 1. Entonces, pues, ¿qué les puedo decir? Les voy a dar la bienvenida a este programa y les voy a presentar en lo que conectan a Dr. Porter, que está esperando. Pues yo les voy a presentar. Hola, mi curro precioso, ¿cómo estás, Dr. Porter? Where are you? Yo creo que te vas a tener que ir para arriba. Y si no, ahorita le hablo a Dr. Porter, que no lo veo. Mi curro, te mando un beso enorme. Hola a todos. Hola, Susi. Qué gusto tenerlos en el programa todos el día de hoy. Déjenme mandarle una llamadita a Dr. Porter para avisarle que ya estamos aquí en el programa. Y mientras que eso sucede, ok, déjenme aquí sincronizar y multitaskear, cosa que, there we go, I'm on the show, doctor, we're all waiting for you. I'm live right now. It's Lizi, then the line on the bottom, Rodríguez, another line on the bottom, Perez. Oh, there's a lot of people joining. Wait. Okay. Try again, Docky. Here I am. Okay. See you soon. Ahorita se conecta el doctor. ¿Sabes qué? Yo creo que hay que picarle esa camarita a ver si el doctor ya se unió. A ver, vamos a checar. Al revés, gavitas. Bueno, mientras tanto, en lo que el doctor se logra unir, yo creo que vamos a regresar a buscar al doctor Porter, que dice que no me ve live. Qué curioso. Ustedes sí me ven live, ¿verdad? Porque yo los veo a ustedes bien live y me da mucho gusto verlos muy live y me da mucho gusto pues iniciar el año con personas tan valiosas como Patrick, que espero que ahorita se nos conecte prontito porque no lo estoy pudiendo ver y él parece no estar pudiéndome ver a mí, que es el tema más importante. Así que déjenme checar el teléfono por si Patrick logra conectarse, porque, a ver, vete hasta arriba, Gaby, y vuélvete a scroll abajo, a ver si de casualidad. Bueno, mientras tanto, ustedes también quiero que participen el día de hoy. Como les decía, la entrevista va a ser en inglés. Voy a entrevistar al doctor Patrick Porter en inglés. ¡Qué lindo! ¡Ay! Desde Guadalajara, díganme de dónde se están conectando. Que además de ser una persona que admiro profundamente, es un hombre al que Mira, dice que no me ve live. Here I am live.
¿Se estará uniendo de una cuenta equivocada o diferente? ¿De qué cuenta se está uniendo?
No sé, desde esta misma, porque me mandó un screenshot.
Ok.
Espérense un segundito, porque estamos teniendo problemas para poder conectar con el doctor Porter, pero bueno, mientras tanto, yo creo que se está uniendo por el doctor Patrick.
O sea, si él no puede encontrarla, a lo mejor es suyo.
A ver.
Que le mande una invitación, a ver si eso lo...
Déjame decirle que le estamos mandando un invite. Oiga, disculpen la paciencia, pero bueno, como él mismo dice, light sometimes brings interruptions, pero que lo importante es seguir adelante. Y fíjate que yo siento que él está tratando como de entrar, pero no lo logro ver. Y eso está curioso. Porque...
Mire, si está...
Sí, a ver, invitar. Vamos a invitar, déjame decirle que ya le mandé un invite.
Ya entró.
¿Ya? ¡Súper! Parece que lo logramos. ¿Lo logramos?
Sí, ya.
Sí, parece que sí. There we go. We did it. Almost there.
Dice.
Dr. Porter. Now I can't see you, but I know you're close.
Right, I'm here. Sorry about the delay. Here we go.
I'm going to have to use Braintap.
Yeah, there you go.
Right now.
Yeah.
Just to cancel the stress.
Yes.
So I was sharing with the audience a few things about you. First of all, how much I love you, how much I admire you. And when we get together with people who inspire us as much as you have inspired me, then the only thing I want to do is share. So we need this Latino thing going on.
Yep.
In the sense that all the Spanish speaking people need to Braintap. But today we're going to talk a really big subject, Dr. Porter. And I'm going to do a really brief presentation because I know a lot of people know you, but you're the creator of this amazing thing that's called Braintap, which I use twice a day and I loved, and it's helped me in many ways. And I'll tell you in how many ways it's helped me. But you're also a visionary of neuroscience. You were brought up in a world where the first thing you saw was part of that, right?
Yep.
And you kept on looking, and you're always looking for something new and something more. But you've inspired and changed the lives of more than 1,500 people or more, maybe more, million, which is a lot. 1.5 million.
Yes.
A little bit of a difference. And you know what? I think just changing the life of one person is a lot.
That's right.
And you've touched so many, and one of the lives you've touched is me. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
And thanks for being my friend. And I feel very proud of having my sessions in Braintap, in English and in Spanish, because I don't want language to be a barrier. Dr. Porter, welcome to Dr. Lizi's show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's good we got connected.
Light brings interruptions, right? But
Yes,
don't pay
that's right.
attention to them.
Yep.
I have that recording here.
Okay.
So yeah, light brings interruptions, and that's the subject. That's today's subject. That sometimes life, if you don't move, it moves you. But instead of embracing change, which is inevitable, there's a natural reaction to resist change. And the first question was, thank you for being on the show. And how can we embrace change without fighting and instead using it as an opportunity for growth, for transformation?
Right. I think the biggest thing is to expect it. Don't expect everything is going to go your way. You know, even if you're in business, they always tell you to, and your business plan should say, How do you know when you're off track? Well, life tells you when you're off track. Maybe your friend doesn't go to lunch with you. Maybe somebody cuts you off in traffic. Maybe you get in a car accident. Maybe you get, whatever's going on. Life will teach you what you need to learn. And if you start embracing that and realizing that it's a series of lessons, and I call it Tai Chi for the mind. So in Tai Chi, they teach us you don't fight force against force. You use the energy to go where you're going to go. So it's not a problem. If something you really wanted to have happen and your heart was set on it and it doesn't happen, then you can be disappointed if you want. But the reality is that all unhappiness stems from unfavorable comparisons. So in your mind, you have this image of what you want, but you don't get it, so you become unhappy. Well, the subconscious, which is what we're talking about here, is like a fourth grader. So anyone listening, so if you think about having an argument with a fourth grader, how many times do you win? You don't win, right? So you have to teach the fourth grader, this isn't good, but we're going to do something different and better. And, if I was to let every disappointment stop me, you wouldn't be holding that brain tap in your hand right now. So because disappointment happens every day to every person. It's just, how do you handle it? And you can't internalize it. It's not you. If somebody disappoints you, it's not about you. It's just life. It's just about them. Don't internalize it. Don't put more meaning on something when there doesn't need to be that meaning. Just say, okay, well, this isn't for me. What's next for me? And at first that becomes very difficult because we're taught manifesting, right? We use our minds, we manifest things. Well, one of the things that I've come to understand over the years is that there's a power greater than you and I that has a better plan for all of us. And I don't care what you want to call it, cosmic power, God, Jesus, whatever you call it, doesn't matter. It's looking out for you. It knows the best conversations to have. It knows the best friends to have. It knows the best work for you to do. It knows the best things for you to complete today. And if you're not doing those things, guess what? It puts you back in the, we have these, you said it, there's like guardrails in our life, right? We can't get too far off the track. Now we can spiral down and spin out and, be depressed or angry and upset, and that's okay. And one thing I want to make sure the listeners know is that it's okay to have these emotions. Every person gets angry, every person gets mad, every person gets upset, but hopefully you don't stay stuck in it. I'm going to just tell a little story and then we can go to the next question. When Paramahansa Yogananda said the difference between children getting angry and upset and their parents is the children get upset and then an hour later they're playing together. The parents get upset and they don't talk to each other for years and maybe even for the rest of their lives because they put too much meaning on an event. It's just one event. So what? You fell down, you got hurt, whatever happened, it's just one thing. One of my favorite mentors, his name is Gil Gilly from Phoenix. He used to always say, failure is never final. Keep that in mind. It's never final. When the Chinese proverb says, fall down 3 times, get up 4. What they mean by that is, just keep getting up. I've been accused of being the Energizer Bunny. If you remember that shit, that because you get knocked over, so what? You just get right back up. There's no final, and you can count on, and you need to really. I expect something not to go right. But then what happens is you always have a contingency. If this doesn't happen, what do you do? How do you do it? What do you do? And if I can't figure it out, I've got to go get my own education. Because if I don't train myself, I'm going to always be dependent upon someone else or something else. And you want it to be an internal resource. Internal resources are always much more valuable because they're always with you. And that's, when we're talking about Braintap, that's the important thing is we call it reframing, right?
Yeah. And that takes me to the second question, because you were saying, okay, change is inevitable. It's not only about embracing it, it's just accepting that it's a succession of lessons, and that when things don't go our way, we have to inhale and exhale and look in and work on it.
Right.
Because sometimes what I see is that people panic. They fear of change.
Right.
So I've used Braintap for more than 2 years now, and it's helped me do many things. starting the morning. Let's talk about the morning.
Sure.
Morning is a change.
Right.
Every day is a new day. If
Right.
you're alive, say thank you, right?
That's
Which
right.
we forget because maybe we're pissed off about something that happened. You were talking about kids.
Mhm.
Then parents fight about kids' problems. Their
Right.
kids are having a fight and the parents get in.
Right.
Who gets in the fight? The parents for years.
Right.
I've seen families in therapy and in
Mhm.
coaching so many times. But what about dogs?
Right.
When they
Right.
receive you, they're always happy. Or maybe you can get upset with them about something and say stop or whatever. And anyways, they will love you.
Right.
And that's like a big fat lesson because we're stuck sometimes in emotions and it's not good.
Right.
That's why I think that Braintap not only has helped me to focus on what is really important and work on it, and maybe the manifestation thing, as you say, is part of the story, but why is brain entrainment so important? Why is it so important in the morning,
Right.
for example, to have peak performance?
Right.
What happens to people like me that it's hard for us to wake up in the morning because we're trying to go to bed earlier, but it's like a resistance to wake up
Right.
in the There's people that are early birds. It's
Yeah.
easy.
No, I know. I was with you in
Oh, no.
Phoenix. You like to stay up really late.
Yeah, of course. We
but
were working, doctor.
yes, yeah, we were
Until
we
1
were
o'clock
working.
in the
But
morning, yeah.
just put this in perspective. When you get emotional, you trigger a part of the brain called the amygdala, right? The amygdala will hijack your emotions and may have you making decisions that you don't want to make. So you don't want to make a decision in an emotional state that has a long-term consequence. You know, like saying something, doing something. So what we learned in martial arts was always pause. You said it best. You said take a breath. You know, put a little space between your thoughts. Just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it's real yet. I mean, you could make it real by vocalizing it out loud to somebody who's with you or doing something. But the reality is, if we can just kind of, it's okay to not respond right away. It's okay not to react right away. It's okay to assess the situation. People that do this are the most successful people on earth because they don't make decisions based solely on emotion. Of course, you want to do things you're passionate about. You want to follow your drive and motivation. So let's talk about the morning now. The reason it's so important in the morning is that most people are not getting the right sleep. So we've conditioned ourselves to wake up in the morning, maybe and have to go get a coffee or go get whatever. And you've heard me say this many times. Coffee first thing in the morning is not good for the brain. And it's okay later in the day, give yourself a couple of hours, because first thing in the morning, you should be waking up with energy, and your brain should be having cortisol, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These are things your brain naturally makes. Now, we're inside the house, right? So it's dark. You want to have your room dark when you go to sleep, but in nature, that's not the way it works in the morning. So in the morning, if the room is dark, your body doesn't know to wake up, because we have these things in our every cell called chromophores. These are little batteries that absorb light energy. So one of the downsides to having a dark room at night is you have a dark room in the morning. So you've got to do something actively to get up and do it. So that means once you start doing this for a while, you start a week. I don't want to call it a habit anymore. I want to call it a ritual. Every morning you have a ritual. And now, whether you listen to Braintap or not, you have a ritual, right? You go into the shower, or you go into the bathroom. You do everything the same way every day. Maybe it's use the restroom, go take a shower, put on your makeup, comb your hair, brush your teeth, whatever it is. There's a certain ritual. Now, if that gets interrupted, people usually get a little agitated, because that's the flow state of the mind. And especially in the morning, and we're supposed to have a lot of cortisol in the morning. So you should be a little jittery, a little bit excited, but it should be more like Christmas morning, not that you're going to get a bad phone call. Think in terms, and there's a reason that they call it the present. Think about it. They call today the present. This is the present moment. So what do we do with presents? We don't know what's in the present, but it's wrapped really nice. And we know when we open up that present, hopefully we're going to have something that's going to excite us, right? That's the way we should look at the morning. When I get up every morning, I always wonder, wow, I think the devil's hiding right now because I'm up. That's what I want him to think. you know, because I'm going to make some positive changes in this world. I get up every morning saying, what can I do today that's going to outlive me? That's my motivation. You have to find your own motivation. So with me, I either write an article, do a script, do an Instagram live, whatever we're doing, something that's going to leave a message behind, because that's my mission. You've got to find your own mission. It could be, hey, I'm going to get my kids off to school good. I'm going to have a great morning meeting, whatever it is. You got to look at that. Today is a present. There's no time like today. And one of the things I always like to tell people that I'm coaching or working with, or, you know, talking with, is that you are lucky. Right now, you're listening to this Instagram live. That means you are awake. You realize where you are in space and time. You have a choice. You're listening to Dr. Lizi, and she's telling you important information. You know, you're following her for some reason, right? Because hopefully you're getting motivated and you're changing your life. So this is an opportunity for you. Every morning is like that. Now, that's why in all the sessions of Braintap, we have these, we call them SMRs trainings, or high alpha training, because this is the brainwave we need to recalibrate. Our life, unfortunately, has trained us out of the natural rhythms of life. In the morning, we should wake up with a lot of energy. You know, you just slept all night long. Why on earth would you need a cup of coffee to get going? It's because your nervous system is not regulating. So that's going to take a new ritual. So what's your new ritual? I'll just give you an example. A new ritual for somebody might be, you might not feel like getting out of bed, but it's like when you start a workout program, right? You don't really want to do it. But I know every person I've ever talked to that is now consistently working out, they miss it if they don't work out.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they got away with something. They feel like they lost something because they built a ritual around working out. So it could be just put on your coat, go outside, get on the earth barefoot, you know, look at the sun, do something that tells you today is new and different. Today is a new day. You know, there's a reason in ancient Egypt they used to celebrate when Ra would come back from the boat, right? He would go into the underworld at night. You know, when the sun would go down, he would navigate through the underworld. But they would celebrate every day when Ra came back. That's the sun. So it's a celebration. The sunrise is a celebration. Now, what we know the sun does to the body is some incredible things. It's going to actually activate neurocircuitry that's going to have you awakened and thinking about today differently. So we're tuned to the light of the sun. So sometimes we can fight against it because we're inside of homes. If this was ancient times and you and I were in the tribe together and we were sleeping outside and a crack of sunlight would come in, we would jump up and we'd get out there by the fire. We'd be having our conversation. Hey, today, Lizi, you're going to go hunt. I'm going to go gather, or whatever it's going to be. You know, but we don't do that anymore, right?
And you're going to direct, right?
Right. So
And
I
I
think,
will say yes.
yeah. So think in terms of in the morning. Also, it's called expectancy. In Buddhism, they say cease expecting and you have all things, right? That's fine if you're a Buddhist, but we want to accomplish things. So I always tell people expect everything and be happy of something. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Expect everything. You know, expected life's going to be great. You're going to get that great phone call. You're going to have a great drive to work. You're going to have a great conversation. You're going to have a great love life. Whatever it is, you expect that to happen. Now, when it doesn't happen, it's not a disappointment. You have to work on yourself, because if it's not showing up in your life is keeping score right now. If you're not happy, that means that if you're not happy, it's not somebody else's fault. Happiness is an inside job, because think of the word happiness, happenings. Your brain is seeing what's happening. And if a series of happenings are good, we call it happiness. So when you think about, so you're creating it in your mind, you're living out your life, and if you like a series of things that are happening, you go, I'm happy. But if you control that like you would control a television station, you know, if you don't like what's on television, you don't sit there and watch it, I hope. We have over 200 channels, right? We can just turn the channel. You can turn the channel on your own life. You can choose to do something different. So we know our body needs three things really to have really good brain function.
Yes.
We need to eat right.
Yes.
So look at your breakfast. If you're not having the energy in the morning, you know, I had one person say, I eat really healthy in the morning. I have a bagel, orange juice, and a coffee. I go, oh my God, your body just went into a glycemic nightmare. You know, all that sugar, the body went into a cascade of effects that are going to rob you of your happiness because you won't have the energy, the vitality, or the drive to accomplish anything. So first check on your food, eat, and maybe even not even eat breakfast. Maybe just drink water in the morning to get yourself going at first. But if you're going to eat something in the morning, eat something that's going to be energizing to you, and preferably something that doesn't come in a can, bottle, or a wrapper with ingredients we can't read, right? So, and then now once you've done that, or better yet, stimulate your body, do yoga, tai chi, lift weights, do something like that.
The day doing breath
Yeah.
work or tapping or doing both things at the same time, hearing the SMRs, even hearing mine.
Right.
Discover your superhero to start the day is
that's right.
Superpower. Right. It's really good to start the day, but it puts your brain, because we're talking about, we're in the tribe, went to sleep, we had a great night, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, boom, we gotta do our thing, we gotta work. So, but most people don't sleep well. Right. Sometimes they don't sleep well because they don't have a ritual in the morning. Sometimes they even get tired in the afternoon, Doc. Right. Sometimes, they performed in the morning because they realized that the first thing they should do is have a big glass of water. I mean, everybody has their ritual. Everybody can share, but I think it's important to drink water. You say so. I think so. It's really important to take at least 10 minutes of sun. If it's not very sunny, well, whatever, but I think it's really important to do some breath work because it gets everything going on too inside. And doing a session of Braintap, meditation, Tai Chi, yoga, I think it really gets you in your center, and doing something with your body. And at a certain age, doing a little bit of weights is also going to help you.
Yes.
But one of the main problems is that people perform. Most of them don't perform as well as they could, and they could if they train their brain, and their body, because you can do it today. We know that, but we don't do it. Why? Because we think it takes time away from us, but it actually gives us time. Let's talk about a leader that is a super performer, like until after lunch. But after lunch in Mexico, they would say, "Te dio el mal del puerquito." It's like that you had this lunch,
Right.
You have a meeting.
It's normal. It's normal in the afternoon to have a physiological low, and if you haven't done anything about it, then you'll have a psychological low. We should all be taking siestas in the afternoon, really. I mean, and having a little break. But there's two breaths.
Coming to Mexico soon, because I think you're starting to forget about Mexico.
Yes.
I think you should come soon. We're working on that.
That's right. That's right. So in the morning, they should do a psychological breath. If anything else, they just sit on the edge of the bed, just take a deep breath in as deep as you can, go. We do this naturally when we get fed up with something, because just like a dog or a cat, when they get irritated, they'll shake their body. We need to shake our body. I love this Dr. Carter. He's the one who started the mini trampoline, where you jump on the trampoline. He said babies should be born with shake well on the top, on their forehead, because our bodies need to be woke up, right? We need to wake up the cells. So that psychological breath, and maybe do 2 or 3 minutes of it. If you're in bed with somebody else, you don't want to hear it, just go in the bathroom and do it. Then tell them, I'm going to go in there and do some breath work, because it's going to sound funny. But what'll happen is, as you do that clearing breath, pretty soon the brain fog will clear. You'll be ready for the day. Now in the afternoon, remember your body drops in temperature 2 degrees because we're psychologically and physiologically tuned to the sun. The sun is resetting our biological system. Our cortisol trough, which is something that happens in the body when we wake up, is high. And then as we go through the day, by 2 o'clock, it's bottomed out. We're not supposed to work as hard as we do. I mean, could you imagine that you were out there doing all this hunting and gathering all day long, and hopefully you found something in the morning, and then you got back to the tribe and you got to play horseshoes or whatever they're going to do there. So we work so hard, and then we beat ourselves up. But in the middle of the day, you can do, of course, if you have Braintap, you're going to listen to one of your sessions, or you're going to do something like that in the process. But you can
How
also
many
do.
sessions are in Braintap, doctor?
We have over 2,000 sessions. So
How many sessions?
there's over 2,000, and that's just in English. So we have all the ones you're doing in Spanish, and we have all the other languages as well. So we want to have a variety, and what that does, it does us. A Braintap session is equivalent to about 3 to 4 hours of sleep. So every time you go through these different brainwave states, we reset our neurological system. For instance, when we're in that alpha state, that SMR state, we're creating more acetylcholine. This makes us feel good and love. Like when we're doing something we love to do, like gardening or working out or talking to a friend, or whatever you love doing that time seems to fly, you're probably in an alpha state. Now, in when we get into theta activates something called GABA. GABA is actually a precursor to something called DMT, which is in every molecule. It's in a molecule that's in every cell of our body. This gives us that kind of timeless space. And that's what we need. Think of it like you want to take a vacation, but you can't get in an airplane and go somewhere. But you can go on vacation in your own home, in your own office, by just taking a moment, settling down, doing your Braintap session, your mindfulness session, or doing what I like to call there's a breath called the box breathing, which is really easy for the listeners. You just breathe into the count of 4, hold to the count of 4, breathe out to the count of 4, hold it out to the count of 4. Do that for 3 or 4 minutes. This is something they teach every special forces here in America.
Yeah.
Could you imagine your Navy SEAL?
My seminars.
Yeah.
I teach it in Discover Your Superhero because they ask us to be the superhero of our lives. But I see many superheroes that are exhausted.
Right.
So you need to biohack in the good sense.
Yeah.
You need to drink a little bit more water every day, a little bit more. You need to take a little bit of sun.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you're not going to get stained.
Right.
Go look for it. No, if you can take your shoes off, do it too. If there's something, a nature that you can be close to it. Those are hacks that don't cost 1 cent.
Right. And
they're so important.
Look at your lunch too. Yeah. Your lunch, just like the lunch, the breakfast I was talking about, your lunch should be filled with good fats, good essential 3, essential 6 fats, and fresh foods. You can eat the other junk if you want to, but 70-80% of your diet should be fresh foods, right? So your body needs energy. So think of the food as crystallized energy that if you're gonna fuel a superhero, you're not going to put junk in it, right? You want to put high grade fuel. So you want to eat a healthy lunch, and your body will lose some energy after eating. That's normal. There's something called HRV, or heart rate variability, for those that don't know about it. You can measure it because now all of the resources of your body are going to digest that food. So most people around the world really eat too much at every meal. So think of your fist. If you put your fist, I'm lucky, my fist is really big, so I can eat a lot. But whatever size your fist is, that's your stomach. That's all the food you need. So we have to chew the food really good to get the digestive enzymes in it, or take a digestive enzyme, so that we can energize that food. If we eat fast because we're in a hurry, or we're doing our work while we're eating, we should eat. The ritual of eating. Now, it's okay to have a conversation. If you're with somebody and you have a conversation, you're eating, put the fork down, talk a little bit. There's not a race. I don't know of anybody who had their food stolen while they were eating it. So you're sitting there eating it. Take your time, eat it. Make your lunch. You can extend the time expanse in your brain by taking time to eat. If you rush through it, number one, you didn't get to enjoy it, and the satisfaction circuits of the brain didn't get triggered. So then later you're going to want to find satisfaction somewhere else, maybe in another food, or another something that might not be as healthy. And so you want to take the time to enjoy those things. Give yourself permission to take that time out, and then what you'll find is then when it's time.
Good one. Give yourself permission to take the time out. You know what I've seen with many people I work with, many leaders, that they love themselves, quote, quote, but they actually don't give themselves the time. And they're the vehicle through which they can achieve whatever success means to them. So it's incredible that they're overexposed to stress, many stresses and things to accomplish, but at the same time, they don't fuel correctly. Maybe the show is that the importance of really loving ourselves is number one. And that means we need to be happy and adjust to having these rituals that will help us perform better, but love them, not feel like, oh my God, I have to do my morning breath work. Nobody can know. Why? It's my morning breath work and I love it. If it bothers you or whatever, I suggest you do it too, but you don't have to, But I think
you know what the Dalai Lama says, if you don't have time to meditate, do it twice a day.
Exactly.
So because that tells you something. When we did our peak performance study with Julia Art, we showed these peak performers that if they took 20 minutes out in the afternoon, they actually got 23% more work done. So that meant when they took 20 minutes out every day of the week, they got an extra day of work done.
Wow.
They didn't lose anything. So think in terms of when a lot of people are just, they don't know they're being busy. They're just being busy and they're not really accomplishing anything. We usually get more done in the morning, when we're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and we're able to get things done.
Some people.
Right.
The normal ones, the ones that are not from other stars. No, those are trying to have regular schedules too. It's very important to wake up earlier and to go to bed earlier and to not eat a lot of sweets. Did you hear, friends? This program is going to be translated with subtitles and they're going to laugh like hell, but no, we're not going to tell them the story of the conference where you and I were eating dessert. Shh. Right. In a biohacking conference, that was like, it was my fault.
Yeah.
2 desserts.
Right.
We were starving. Well, I was. No. No, I think it's important that people don't feel bad. Like, for example, executives, to take a Braintap session. I mean, you're talking about high achievers, really high achievers, right? Mm-hmm. They take 20 minutes off, or even you have sessions of 10, 11, 12, 13 minutes, 15, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, even mine is like 2 hours and a half, one to fall asleep. You didn't get it. So like, why does she want 8 hours? No.
Right.
But you know what? I really think that it's okay, and we should feel okay to give ourselves the time to reset our brains, to reset our body, to let's keep on going, because if not, after lunch, you're pooped. I mean, if you don't give yourself a little time to, then the rest of the day is going to be like, okay, then what? No? I mean, for me, 2 is a perfect hour. It's like, let's do it. No? I love it. But I think most people after lunch really feel, and I think we shouldn't have a big fat lunch that's going to put us to bed instead of being productive for a few hours more, no? Because we're not going to bed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Maybe we should, but we don't. But talking about these achievers, it's important that they can give their brain and their body something to peak it at midday. That's important. But then the rest of the afternoon goes by and it's time to go to bed. And most people have terrible go to bed habits. And one of the worst ones is this one, which is the first thing many people see and the last thing they see when they go to bed. Or they go to bed watching it. No, and I think that's not very healthy, right, Doc? I think there's healthier things because sleep is not only crucial for sleep, it's crucial for performance, it's crucial for recovery, it's crucial for so many things. So how can we elaborate on how Braintap can help us with
Also, just think about if you're one of those people that looks at your phone all the time, if you're a person who looks at life as a challenge, it might be all right because you're looking at, what's exciting, what's new, what am I going to look for? But if you're one of the people that look at life as a threat and you're looking for bad news or you're trying to find out, what's going on, that could actually trigger a stress response, which will actually be bad for you for the rest of the afternoon, because then you're going to dump that sugar from your liver into the bloodstream. Then you're going to have a downward sugar trend. But I think the worst thing that happens at night is people think they can just flip a switch and go to sleep. Again, if we go back to the ancient traditions, we didn't just say, okay, it's time to go to sleep. We just go into our teepees and go to sleep like the Indians or something. We'd usually burn a fire. We'd all be standing around. Maybe we'd be dancing, singing, talking, whatever. We'd have some community. We'd have some socialization, but we didn't binge watch the fire, right? We didn't, when the fire's going out, I didn't say, Lizzie, go get another fire. I want to watch another 13 episodes of this log burning. We set a parameter that said, this is the time when I need to stop. So when the fire is a cue, because the fire burns at 10 hertz frequency. It's down regulating our nervous system. It's also emitting infrared light. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about what does Braintap do, that light is going to train the brain to slow down its rhythm. The brain rhythm of delta is very slow until the point where it's just kind of, think of it like you're just kind of cruising. Your body's asleep, your mind's somewhere else. Your body's resting, recharging. We call this deep parasympathetic. And the deeper you can go into sleep, the more you're incubating those superpowers you were talking about earlier. Because if you don't get to sleep, you wake up. They say that 2 days of poor sleep is equivalent to having 3 drinks. So if you haven't slept well in the last 2 days, your motor skills, what you're doing during the day. So, most superheroes have these very quick reactionary skills, right? They can make decisions and things. So they have that peak performance mindset. So when you think about your life, think of peak performance experiences. What's going on in your day that's going to be a peak performance moment? So when you go to sleep, what I always recommend is the 4-8 breath. And the reason I do that is you want to acknowledge what happened during the day. So as you're breathing in, you can kind of make a review of your day, not with judgment. In mindfulness, we just let it kind of go through us, just like if it would just be waves of thoughts going. You don't judge it and say that SOB or it should have been this way or that way. Just say, this is what happened. You can reframe it. But when it goes through your mind, just let it go. Then when you breathe out to the count of 8, and you connect that breath. And as you breathe out, you're going to find that you're going to decentralize all that nervous energy, because your body every cell has what they call piezo energy. It's releasing energy all the time in the form of light and energy. They can measure it. So if you go to bed and you're all wound up, and you can't go to sleep, you'll have to unwind the body. And one way you do that is a couple hours before bed, go around the house, start turning off lights. This signals your brain, hey, it's time for sleep. Because a lot of people keep their house all lit up, and then when they go to sleep, they're flipping off lights, and they're all, they're getting excited instead of calming down. Then when whatever your nighttime ritual is, maybe put on some light music in the background that's relaxing to you when you're doing your nighttime ritual, getting ready for bed, whatever that is, or maybe even take a warm bath, whatever you want to do. Burn a candle. Candles burn at 10 hertz frequency too, so it kind of mimics the effect of, like I was talking about, the fire. You want to downregulate the nervous system. Then when you get in bed, it's time for bed. Unless you're with someone and you're going to then you're going to go to bed, whatever it's going to be. But whatever's going to happen, when it's time for you to sleep, you're going to do the exercise. It doesn't matter who's there. You could be by yourself or with somebody else. They don't even know what you're doing. You just let it go. You're going to train your body to move into the deepest state possible, so that and don't worry about going to sleep, because if you do that breath, most people don't even last 5 minutes. But it seems like forever, because you're there and your mind's thinking. But eventually you go, boom, oh, hey, I'm waking up in the morning. It's morning time. Now the body is unwound. You get a really good night's sleep. And if you're tracking it with some kind of sleep tracker, you're going to notice when you have something like that, your body is going to show you, hey, if not, it can take up to 4 hours to get into your second sleep cycle. The sooner you can get into that first sleep cycle, which means go through those brain waves, because when you're going through that sleep cycle, if you can get 6 to 8 of those at night, you're going to detox your brain. If you don't get 6 to 7 or even 8 sleep cycles, you never hit that deep delta that we need. And that deep delta is when the brain's something called the glial lymphatic system opens up and we detox the brain. So it's really key that we train the brain. And like I said before, it's not a habit, it's a ritual. So what is your ritual when you go to bed? For me, that's when I might say my prayers or my blessings or my gratitude or whatever you're going to do. That's your time to acknowledge. And I'm going to remember all the positive things from that day. The negative things I'm going to recall, but I'm not going to give them any energy. I'm only going to give energy to the things that are really positive. I'm going to make them bright in color. I'm going to put my favorite sound in the background. I'm going to add them to my success reel, if you will. Think about it. You're a superhero now. What is your success reel? What are they going to play before you walk up on stage? You get a chance to play that every night before you go to sleep. And we know that the subconscious will play out in your dreams whatever you last thought about. You get control of that. When I said earlier about you control your happiness, you can start thinking about those happy times, those wonderful experiences, those joyful moments, that favorite song, that beautiful sunset, that beautiful meal you had, whatever it was. You think about those things before you go to bed. Now your brain starts thinking, hey, Lizi wants more of those things. So we'll start creating them in your life because you gave it energy. If you give energy to the negative, the brain does the same thing. It doesn't know that, it doesn't discern. It just knows this is what you're focusing on. There's a saying, where you put your attention, energy flows. So we want to put our attention on the most positive things before going to bed and do that breathing technique or Braintap. If you have a Braintap, you can do that. But if you do the breathing technique, you're going to find that you're going to train yourself to go to sleep. And now you can start in your dreams. Guess what? You can fly. You are a superhero. But a lot of people take their limitations with them to sleep with them, right?
Yes.
Even though they have an unlimited consciousness, they have this unlimited ability to create, imagine, and discover, they go in with their same limitations. They go in with their boss yelling at them or not getting a completion of a task or whatever. In your dreams, you should be saying, hey, you made peace with your boss. You have this great relationship now, or your lover, whatever it is. And then you say, any projects you have done, you visualize them as complete. What's that going to feel like? You start thinking as if things are already completed. Now the subconscious mind, which is it's using a 100 billion neural processor called the human brain. Now don't confuse the mind with the brain. The brain is the hardware. Your mind, your conscious thought is you. You're not your brain. But we have to work with our brain because that's how we perceive the world and that's how we move through the world. So we have to keep our brain, just like we floss our teeth, we have to floss our senses. We have to get rid of all that crud that's sticking between the teeth, like all those negative thoughts, ideas, and concepts. We need to clean those out.
Yes, we need to clean them out. If not, you were saying something that is amazing. We don't take our other than conscious mind to sleep.
Right.
We actually don't wake it up in the morning either.
Right.
You know what I realized, Doc? Maybe it's like this strange thought that got to me after using Braintap and meditation, obviously, and many other things, but breath work, for example. I think that we're like a channel, Dr. Patrick Porter. And that channel, we can fill it up with a lot of whatever, or we can decide to clean it up, no?
Right.
And if we want to go to bed and repair and recover and start the day with thanking that we're alive, then we have to think seriously about working on cleaning inside. Like we don't have to go get our limpias, no?
Right.
Like in Mexico.
Right.
No, they don't have to scrub us. We can lovingly maybe scrub some things out of our system. We can program our mind, and we can take our other than conscious mind to sleep too. No,
right?
That's superhero.
Yeah, exactly. What I always tell people is you're the producer, the director, and the lead character. You get to pick who gets to be in your play, who gets to be in your movie, who gets to be in your life. So, but if you're accepting it, then of course it's easier for the subconscious mind. Just let it run the way it is. But once you start becoming an active participant, we call it conscious creation. So when you become a conscious creator, which means, first of all, you take responsibility for wherever you're at right now. You're not wrong or broken. You have infinite potential. You have the capacity to do whatever you want to do, but we're starting now. So think of it like we just opened up a board game. We're going to play Monopoly or whatever. And you were given so much money. I was given so much money. You know, we're somewhere on the board because the game has already been playing. But we start playing the game now. We can't change the board. We can't change the game. We can't change, but we can from that point forward. We can make a decision to roll the dice, move to this place and that place. We can make the decision to buy that property or not. We can make the decision to move around the board, but the game's fixed. So you have to play by the rules of the game. Number one is emotion drives behavior. So if you don't have the right emotion, you have to change the dial of your own energy and motion. That's emotion. What energy are you putting in motion? That comes from your senses. So if you don't like the room that you're in, you know, we have essential oils. So you can spray a good essential oil on your pillow or something to give you the right senses if you want, if you need that. You can burn a candle to set up the frequency in the room. You can play relaxing music in the background. There's been no time like this. This is the most incredible time in history. Just 100 years ago, you had to be royalty to listen to a symphony. Guess what? We carry it around in our pocket. I'm very expensive, right? If you wanted me to come to your house and do a private Braintap session with you, but we have 120,000 users out there, right? They can just take it up. They can put on Dr. Liza, they can put on Dr. Porter, they can, whatever they need to do, it's right there. Yeah. So what the biggest step for people is to realize that you have a decision to make every moment of the day. And guess what? Physiologically, we know that is being changed every 40 seconds because every DNA pair in your body is evaluating your environment and either upregulating or downregulating your genetic potential. So not only on a psychological level, but on a physiological level, we can make changes that put us in a better position. That's why when people are doing, like, let's say they're going on a journey, maybe they're doing a psilocybin journey or something like that, they will tell you that set and setting are so important. In your life, your set and setting is so important. How do you, when you walk into your bedroom, does it look like a place you'd really want to sleep? You know, first of all, you know, is it, you know, neat and orderly? Yeah, yes.
Is it
you know,
a mess?
Yes.
Right.
Because it used to be if your desk was messy, it was a sign of a, what's that?
Sometimes more in men than women. The messiness we're talking about. Is that neurological? Is that biological? Is that learned?
Well, there's a lot of people are just, they just do things that are immediately gratifying. They don't think of the long-term benefits. I like to tell people, most people are playing checkers. You want to start playing chess. And there's a difference because in chess, you are always thinking about 3 or 4 moves ahead. You're not thinking, so when you get out of bed, are you thinking about what it's going to be like when you wake up in the morning? Or are you just thinking about getting out of bed? The person that's thinking immediate gratification is only thinking about getting out of bed. They're not thinking about leaving the room a mess because as soon as they leave the room, it's out of their mind, out of sight. And it just keeps building up, getting messy. But if you start playing chess and you start thinking about what your action is going to do, like when you use a plate or a bowl or a cup, did you rinse it out, put it beside the plate? Did you put it in the dishwasher? Is everything, because everything is a ritual. Everything is either helping you to feel good about your life or is building an irritation. And you want to get rid of all the irritations you can. You know, get outside, like you said, open windows, get some fresh air. Everything you do should be about setting you up for.
I stopped hearing you. There, got you back. Yeah, I was thinking about my seminar, Discover Your Superhero, that now is going to be a book too.
All right, great.
You're going to have it translated in English, Doctor.
Yep.
So one of the main things I say, I don't know if it's one of the first or the second, is como haces algo, haces todo, which means as you do something, you do everything. And most of the things we do, I believe we do them in automatic, you know, like the heart beats how many thousand times a day with you asking it to please, thank you, do it for me? No, it doesn't. But I think in automatic we live a little bit numb in the sense that we're not there. We're actually not mindful of many things we do during the day. And I think that one of the main things that Braintap has given me is exactly that. Being more mindful in the present moment. Enjoying.
Yeah. I always tell people life is much better when it happens through you instead of to you. Think about that. A lot of people let life happen to them, right? They don't even know if they feel good until somebody tells them, hey, you look nice today, or something like that. So we want to make sure life is happening through us. Screw everybody else for a moment. You gotta take care of yourself. And it's not being self-centered. You've got to take care of yourself, because if you're not going to, nobody has time to take care of you. They got to take care of themselves. So if you're waiting for somebody else to make you happy, to make you satisfied, to make you rich, or do whatever it is, you're going to be waiting a long time. But as soon as they do, there's always strings attached. So you want to make sure that you're making yourself happy, because then the only person you have to satisfy is yourself. Now you can get other people that I like to call it the harmonics of things. When you're with somebody, like when we were together having fun and we didn't realize it was so late, that's because the harmonics were there, right? We were having a good time learning something, even though I did get a little upset a little bit at you. But
okay, let's be honest. That's the whole story. I exasperated Dr. Porter because of my non-technological skills.
Right.
But I actually didn't go to learn that.
Right.
What I didn't know is I went to learn something more important. The human being behind Braintap, which is much more important. Then I translated how many of your sessions to learn the technique. And then I started doing mine. And I still feel I'm in your foot and how much I have to learn. That's the truth. But I think that's another obstacle we put on ourselves, is we don't do it because maybe we're going to fail, or maybe they won't like it, or maybe they'll say no, or maybe, why didn't you try? I don't deserve it. Right. No, it's a dream come true. I mean, there's so many things we can say about that, but it's true, Dr. Porter. I think most of the limits are not in the other than conscious mind.
Yeah, well, there are no limits there. The only limits are the ones we place on ourselves. The only growth is on the edge of our limits. And they did a study with mice, and they gave these mice everything they needed. The mice didn't have to move. They fed them. They provided them water. They didn't have to move. Those mice lived almost 30% less than the mice that they made. They tricked them. They always moved their food. They hid their water. When they stressed them out. So I always have to remind Cynthia all the time that when I'm stressing her out, I'm building her neural network. So that's the way that we're,
Cynthia, that's called manipulation.
No.
Psychology. Cynthia, don't buy that one. No. I think I'm not really sure if men and women's, we would do that on another show, if men and women's brains are that different. I think they are.
Well, they're different in the fact that, most women will think more long term. They think about what's going to happen. Like most men think right now, I'm going to make this decision right now. I'm going to do this thing right now. I don't care about the consequences. Because they're ingrained in our genetics is, hunt and, go out and conquer. And then we worry about how to pick up the pieces, where and I'm generalizing now because of course there's women that do the same thing, but then the women's brain thinks about, if I do this, what is the consequences going to be? And, that's why sometimes like drugs and alcohol get people in trouble, because that suspends that part of the brain, right? They can do things and they can say, oh, well, I was drinking or I was doing this or that. And they don't have to worry about the consequences.
That's another show. I think we should do a show about men's and women's brains.
There you go.
Because there's some things that are wired a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
some might be wired very similarly, but some, what you say, no, sometimes I think we are. We have to study that deeply. Yeah. I'm going to study that deeply before the show, okay. No, really. But to say bye-bye to our old friends, that this is going to be translated and it's going to be up in Dr. Patrick Porter's my show, and on the webpage, and on Braintap Tech, and on Dr. Patrick Porter. It's Dr. Patrick Porter, right?
It's just Dr. Patrick Porter. All one
Dr. all together. Yep. Dr. Patrick Porter.
Yep.
And Braintap Tech.
Yep.
Awesome. And I would love you to close the show with more of your amazing knowledge. Whatever you want is good. Everything I appreciate.
I think the main thing is to know that change happens in micro moments. Don't think about changing everything in your life, because we went through a lot of things today on the show, right? And if somebody tries to make all those changes, it could be overwhelming. Just choose where in your life do you feel like you could get the biggest impact? Where do you think where do you beat yourself up the most on? Pick that area. It could be just drinking more water. Just set it up, start drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. It could be start adding in fresh food into your life. It could be start doing the breath work. It could be, buy the Braintap. Whatever it is, you choose what it is, because those micro moments are what's going to change your life. It's not what you do once in a while. It's what you do every day that needs to change. So think about those things you do consistently that are robbing you of your health, your harmony, your vitality, and most importantly, in your case, your superpowers, right? If you have superpower, you don't want your kryptonite. What is your kryptonite? What's causing you to maybe beat yourself up, feel bad, not show up as your best self? Those are the things you want to put that kryptonite in a lead box. So, it's there, but it doesn't have to control you. It doesn't have to manipulate you. It's just a thing. It doesn't have any power over you if you don't give it to it. So I would leave everybody with that, and thank everybody for listening.
Love you so much, Dr. Porter. Give a big hug to Cynthia and all the Braintap team. I love them very much too. I know I need to do another session. I will. The moment I finish the book and the seminar I have for Mexico, I will do that, and I will get in touch because we want you in Mexico.
Yeah.
This year.
Okay, sounds good.
I will be the translator.
Alrighty.
But
all right.
We will see how we can make it happen.
All right, sounds good. Namaste.
And I hope to see you very soon.
Yep.
I hope I'm invited to the biohacking conference.
Oh, sure. Yeah, just let me know. Make sure you send me an email. I'll make sure you got a ticket. Okay. Bye.
Love you. But I'll be closer to you, and I'll take the mics. Promise.
Okay.
I won't be upstairs.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bye.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Porter. Bueno, pues ya tuvieron el gustazo de conocer a este hombre divino, que quiero muchísimo, que es un genio, que está cambiando muchos mundos, mucha gente. Esto es Braintap. Bueno, esto nos anunció. Yo amo Braintap. Lo hago porque me sirve, porque me ha cambiado a mí, porque me ha ayudado a transformar mi vida y porque me encanta compartir esto contigo. Así que thank you very much for joining this show. Gracias a toda la familia de Retos Femeninos y gracias a ti que escuchaste esta plática con Dr. Patrick Porter y todo lo importante que nos compartió. Así que si te gustó, ponle un corazón, y si piensas que le puede servir a alguien más, que estoy segura que sí, compártesela. Y recuerda que ya mañana va a estar con subtítulos en español para que la puedas leer y ver y disfrutar y gozar y compartir. Así que tengas un día maravilloso. Bye bye. Thank you.